5 point someone, 3 mistakes of my life, 2 states, and now he veers into the world of women with one Indian girl. I have with me the author himself, Chetan Bhagat. Hi Chetan.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. So congratulations on your book.
Thank you so much.
So I just want to begin by asking you that all of your books have had male central characters. Now, One Indian Girl doesn't only have a female character as a central character, but also it's a first person. So why did you choose to do that?
I've been writing for a long time. My first book came 12 years ago, and I wanted to take up a challenge. I wanted to do something different because it's more creatively satisfying for me. I've been wanting to write in a woman's voice for a long time. I didn't think then it'll be a book on women's issues. But I said after 10 years, I will get the confidence to do this. So my first book came in 2004 and Half Girlfriend came in 2014. And then I said, okay, now is the time to do this. And so I said, okay, it's time to do something which I've never tried and is scaring me, which is to write in a woman's voice. And that's how this came about.
So how did you go about the research for this book?
The research was more, the setting and all is all I'm familiar with. The girl works in investment banking where I have worked. The cities are New York, Hong Kong, London, or I've lived in all of them. The main research was speaking to Indian women. So I spoke to around 100 women, sat down with them, got to know their deepest thoughts, insights, problems, how they think, how they contradict themselves. And I think that made me give birth to this character called Radhika Mehta. And that's how the book came.
So would you say that Radhika Mehta is a feminist then?
Absolutely. I think Radhika Mehta is a feminist, but like any other average Indian girl, she is a little confused at the start, and she's a real practical feminist. Feminism is not, she's not a, what you can call an ultra feminist or a feminist Nazi. She's a normal feminist who is also a girl, So if a boy breaks up with her, she feels hurt. If she she's been told that she's not fair enough by her family, like the complexion, and so she has a complex about her looks. So all that it's just the way sometimes girls are. So what sometimes the feminist movement does is says, oh, you are crying for a man who dumped you, how can you be a feminist? But that's dehumanizing someone. Feminism is to make women strong, but it doesn't mean you become so strong that you are not emotional anymore or you're not even a human being anymore. So yes, she is a feminist.
So I understand that there has to be an emotional turmoil in every woman regardless of whether she is a feminist or not. But don't you think that the mini-me that she has constant struggles with somewhere comes across as an anti-feminist, because Radhika through her mini-me is constantly judging herself as a slut, which is not what...
Which is not, but that's the conditioning which a girl like Radhika is brought up with, and a lot of girls are brought up with. And that is where the girls relate to the book, is that you've been told a few things while in your childhood, and so when you feel like kissing a guy, you wonder whether you should express it or not, because what will the guy think? He'll think I'm too easy, he'll think I'm a slut. That thought immediately gets fired in your head. It's not like you have any control over it, and that's coming from our conditioning. So yes, those thoughts come, or whether you're sitting behind a guy on a scooter, should I hold him tight, will he think I'm too easy? That's a very girl-like natural reaction.
That's also got a lot of criticism.
It is completely from people who don't understand. This is from people who have a very myopic view of feminism, people who don't understand what real feminism is all about. That's how girls feel. So you are criticizing me for how girls feel. My job is to hold a mirror to society by telling a story. So you want to smash the mirror, be my guest, but you're also not facing reality.
So how do you define feminism? There's so much of debate around what it means. And
for me, feminism is just a woman getting an equal right to pursue her happiness. So, and that depends on context, that depends on region, situation. What the average for me, Indian feminism is what average Indian women want. Average Indian women want, say, her mother not pestering them to get married when they want a career. They don't want their mother-in-law to give them barbs if they don't make hot full cars, or if their career is making them be at home less. Those are their requirements. So that becomes feminism in that context. In USA, feminism may be why shouldn't women become CEOs. In a village, feminism may be why don't you let girls go to school. So feminism is, the actual needs may be different in different places, but it's a collective platform, I think, for women to come together and say these are the things we want.
So you've also written a lot of sex scenes, not a lot, but a couple of them at least.
Very powerful ones, it seems, because out of a 300-page book, there's like 2 pages of sex scenes, but my God, does it get attention?
But then you've written it from a woman's perspective, and that must have been tough. So how do you get around to that part? Specifically to writing something so sensual or something so intimate.
I did a lot of research. I spoke to women, how they approach sex, what they think about it. A lot of women said they feel scared expressing what they want in bed. They feel that if they do, they'll be judged. Mind is constantly thinking even during sex. So it became very interesting for me to write about it. It's a very bold sex scene, and the sex scenes are about a woman wanting a man to satisfy him. And I think it has rattled a lot of men because they can't get over it. They're so repressed in India about sex and sexuality. It's very those sex kind of mentality. But sex exists in real life, and I write about real life. So what's the big deal? I mean, really.
Now, all your previous books have had an element of Chetan Bhagat, starting from 5 Point Someone and then of course 2 States. Does Radhika Mehta also have a reflection of you in some ways?
I don't think that much, but her job is what my job was. So I was in investment banking. Some people who know me well have said, if you were a girl, this would be you. So I don't know what that means, but maybe that's my feminine side.
So the women in your other book have been fairly one-dimensional. Either it is a girlfriend or mainly a side character. And similarly in this book, One Indian Girl also, although men are sort of blacks and whites, right? There is Brijesh on one side and there's Neil and Debu on one side. So didn't you think that they should have been more complicated, or they could have also been involved in the movement of feminism in a more rounded way rather than being so...
I think I get to tell the story I want to tell. I can't be told what story to write and what my characters to be. I think the boys represent the 3 different average Indian boys, which can be. They are not stereotypical. A guy like Neil doesn't really come around every day. Brijesh is still confused. Brijesh is not really fixed on his views on feminism. And Debu thinks he is a feminist, but he actually turns out to be not. So the story is about Radhika. The story is about her point of view. The boys are there in the story, but they will obviously not be giving... If I wrote the story from a Debu's point of view, you would understand him better. But clearly, whenever you're doing a first-person narration, that always happens. The Radhika gets a more complex character and the boys don't. In my other books, people say the girls are not very well defined. So that's part of first-person narration.
So even when I was reading the book, in some places it felt like a screenplay. So did you write the book keeping in mind that maybe this will turn into a film? Was that the purpose?
No, I never do that, because if I did, then a boy-girl story is the best to make a Bollywood screenplay. It's very hard to cast and get a budget for it and all that. People who know the film business know this. I have still written a book. It's paper and ink, I promise you. If you read it, if you imagine the movie, it's your mind that imagined the movie. And because some of my books have become movies, people start imagining the movie. But I don't have to do that. I mean, for me, my book is a bestseller, the highest selling book in the country. So it's worked as a book, no? So for me, books are more important. Films are a byproduct.
Thank you so much, Chetan, for speaking with us, and thank you for watching IndianExpress.com.